everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeVries, and this is the daily show where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is Miss Perri Nemiroff.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. So happy to be back here hosting today. I've got a great team with me, per usual. We also have a great lineup. We're talking Star Wars, MCU. We've got some trailers, a really cool poster that I can't wait to talk about. I want to get into it, but first we have to introduce my co-panelist, Sinead, who's with me today.
Also joining us this morning is John Rocha.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's one of those days.
Flashback Friday, I am ready. Let's talk about some stuff that's doing the butt. From School Days, Spike Lee directed from the 80s. Come on now, y'all remember y'all to get some education in your lives. No, I can't wait. We got a lot of great stories to talk about, a lot of cool movies, and I can't wait till we talk about that poster for Shape of Water. Sinead, it's raining. I don't know if they have windows where you live, but it's rain outside.
Also joining us this morning is Ken Napzok.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I don't dance or have any frivolity in my life. I just talk movies.
Well, there's an intro for you. All right, let's just get right into it before we go completely off the rails today. Sinead, what's our first story of the day?
Hold on 1 second.
Oh, there it is.
Alrighty, we
off
have
the rails.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for the Wi-Fi to decide that it likes me.
Like,
hold on,
what's
1 second.
going on?
One second.
Do you want me to read it for you?
Yeah.
No, I got it.
All right.
It's good. All right, you guys.
Are we
With
ready?
Thor Ragnarok ready to hit theaters in 2 weeks, the press screenings have been slowly rolling out, with many outlets praising the film and wondering where the Thor franchise is headed after Infinity War. With the female Thor making waves in the comics line of Marvel, Movies.com asked Feige if there would ever be a chance we would see the Goddess of Thunder on the big screen someday. A prospect Feige said that is a possibility. We always look back to the comics to get those ideas, sometimes very specific storylines like Civil War, sometimes just nuggets or characters like Planet Hulk. So anything that's happened in the comics, even a female Thor, become great potentials and ideas from which future movies can be born. Perri, what are your thoughts on the possibility of a female Thor picking up the hammer someday on screen?
So glad we pulled it together for this story, because God knows we need more Marvel speculation in our lives. I like the possibility of this idea, just because why would I say no to a character like this? I am a little familiar with the comics. I do know who becomes the female Thor, and if this ever does happen, I wouldn't want Natalie Portman to return. I don't even know if that's the route they would go, but more so than anything, I don't know that this is going to happen at all. He basically says in this quote that it's just, if it's in the comics, it has potential for the MCU. That in no way, shape, or form means this is going to happen. So before I get too carried away with any of this, cool, but what is the likelihood that it's ever going to happen, especially when Kevin Feige is the guy who's been talking about a Black Widow movie for how many years now, and we still haven't seen it. So good on them for keeping an eye on the comics, what's going on there. Good on them for including more female characters whenever they can, but this is so far from a confirmation that it doesn't seem worth going down that hole of a hardcore speculation right now. Rocha,
Yeah.
Are you on the same page as me?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fun to speculate and consider it, because the thing that we are always talking about now, right? Ever this hashtag of superhero fatigue. The only way out of it is to create new and interesting ways to bring these superheroes to life and give them new avenues to explore and push out the parameters and the boundaries of it. We did that with Logan. We see that with Deadpool. I think the New Mutants is definitely going to do that. So the idea of a female Thor certainly works. It is Dr. Jane Foster in the comics. So this connection, Natalie Portman, I understand what people are making it, but I think by the time we get to a female Thor, which is probably years down the road, I think it'll be somebody else. It'll be maybe even his sister, like or something related to him. So it's not necessarily Natalie Portman who's going to come back. In some other version, there'll be another Jane Foster, because also these are alternate Earths that they play with. We haven't even started messing around with that with Marvel 100% just yet. So there's all kinds of options here available to do the female Thor. I think it's awesome for Kevin Feige to be open to it. I think it speaks to the fact that they know they're always thinking thinking ahead of these things. And Feige's always 10, 15 years down the road with Marvel. So I like the idea. And Natalie Portman did say, that the reason she was upset about, or one of the reasons she was upset with working with Marvel is how they let go of Patty Jenkins off Thor: Dark World. Now, in retrospect, you have to ask yourself, was that really a smart move considering how Wonder Woman turned out? But she did say that if, she said she's done for now, but she doesn't know if there'll be an Avengers 7 or anything like that. And she did enjoy being a part of it. It's just not necessarily her bag right now. But you never know. Actors change their minds all the time. And wouldn't it be something if you switch the Black Widow storyline and Scarlett Johansson is the one wielding the hammer? That's certainly possible to play that out in the Marvel Universe, at least on screen.
I have no idea how that would work, given the fact that I have not read the comics. But for some reason, that really intrigues me, though. Yeah. Ken, what are you thinking about this? Is there really a chance we're going to see a female Thor? Or are you thinking it's another Black Widow where it'll probably be talked about and never happen?
No, it's going to happen. And whether or not it's Thor or there's going to be a Marvel female-led superhero movie, or as it's also called, a superhero movie, that's going to happen because it's of the time. It's smart business now, and that's kind of, that's how Hollywood works. They're so stupid. They have to wait for something else to work. It's like the NFL. That team won on that playbook. We're going to copy that playbook. Yeah. Marvel's going to do it. Kevin Feige, who, by the way, as a bald man, I appreciate him making the suit jacket and hat look work so well. I'm switching to that soon. So, yeah, I think it's going to happen. I think whether it's Thor or not, I agree. This article is just wild speculation on a throwaway comment, but it's going to happen. What won't happen is Natalie Portman anywhere near a Marvel movie ever again, or a Star Wars, or anything. She's going to go scowl in a corner.
Yeah, as much as I like her as an actress and think she's talented, what she did in both franchises, I mean, most fans do have a very sour response to her performance, and I most certainly wouldn't want her anywhere near an MCU film ever again either. And, regardless of what happened with Patty Jenkins, that kind of negativity when you get to be part of a movie like Thor, it rubs me the wrong way. And I don't like to hear things like that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes some actors just aren't, she was good in those movies. She was doing her job. She just wasn't in the same rhythm and the same vibe that everyone else was in this movies. And that doesn't say anything negative about her as an actress at all, in my opinion. Yeah, prequels is a whole nother ballgame. But with the Thor movies, I think she's acting her way, how she acts. It just didn't fit the vibe of what you're trying to get in these Marvel movies. So I don't fault her for what she did in the Thor films at all. Some actors or actresses just aren't the right fit. And that's it. It says nothing about their quality of work.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm throwing lobs at Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman's a great actress. Yeah. Sinead, I saw Anywhere But Here in the theater. I went and saw it in the theater, all right? Wow. Okay, I was the only guy in the theater at the time. It's a great story. She's a great actress. It just, you're right, it didn't work. And the prequels thing, look, actually, Padme Amidala is a great Star Wars character.
Yes.
There was just behind-the-scenes stuff, it seems, which has led to her being written out of the stories by the time Sith came around.
All right, before the show turns into a Natalie Portman review, I think we should move on to our second story. Sinead, what's that one?
In a new interview from Empire, director David Fincher revealed to the outlet some of his thoughts and hesitations about directing a movie set in a galaxy far, far away. Speaking on the Empire podcast, Fincher says that while George Lucas had it rough on the first Star Wars since it was so ambitious, there's an entirely new set of expectations that comes with directing a new entry. I don't know what's worse, being George Lucas on the set of the first one where everyone's going, Alderaan? What the hell is this? Where everyone's making fun, but I can't imagine the kind of intestinal fortitude one has to have following up the success of these last two. That's a whole other level. One is that you have to endure the withering abuse of Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, and the other is that you have to live up to $1 billion or $1.5 billion, and that becomes its own kind of pressure. Ken, what do you think about Fincher's comments about directing a Star Wars movie? And did he just take himself out of the running forever?
No, absolutely not. And I think he's also very right. I think he's right. He is one of those directors with a very clear vision of who he is or what stories he wants to tell and how he wants to tell them. And working in this big factory is not for everybody. And famously, George Lucas offered David Lynch Return of the Jedi, and he heard George's pitch and went, no. So I think Fincher's right. Did he take himself out of the running forever? No. I think if he changed his mind or a story came around. The standalone movies, the anthology movies, might be the place where Star Wars can eventually stretch genre, change genre a little bit. I think he could be a fit for something like that, not necessarily a saga film. So yeah, no, I'm on board with him eventually if he wants to do it, doing it.
Yeah, I would like to think that the door isn't completely closed for him ever directing a Star Wars movie, because I do think that would be a really interesting pairing. But I respect the fact that he is coming out and saying this, especially given the current climate with the Star Wars film franchise and what has happened with directors recently. I know how appealing that job must be and how hard it must be to say no to a Star Wars movie.
Right.
But if deep down you know you're not in the position to dedicate so much of yourself, because it doesn't matter whether you're doing one of the episodes or you're doing a standalone movie, that 2 years of your life, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week is probably going to hold true no matter what. And that's just work hours. Then think about any free second you have. It's probably being consumed by watching everything you say, being just inundated with questions on Twitter if you are on Twitter. This thing it's a life commitment for however long you're part of this production, and that's a very long time. And really, if you're not into it and you're not up for it and you're not ready to give that to something like this, I think it's better to step away and maybe do something that is not necessarily that Star Wars wouldn't have been in his heart had he not, but clearly he was skeptical about committing to something like this, whereas other projects were more in line with what he wanted to do. So I respect him for making that decision, and I just hope any director who is afforded this absolutely incredible opportunity thinks of it the same way before committing. Rocha, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this idea, or we just did, about people who fit and don't fit in the Star Wars universe. The way Star Wars is currently constructed, David Fincher does not fit in as a director in the Star Wars universe. You want to go to Knights of the Old Republic, David Fincher is a perfect fit for Knights of the Old Republic, because that's what we're talking about. Fincher brings an incredible amount of complexity and darkness to almost every film he directs. That's his playground. That's where he does his best work. That's his toolbox. And I think if you're going to bring a director like that into Star Wars, you cannot put these trilogy pressure on Fincher, because that's not Fincher's forte. Fincher likes to do stuff like Gone Girl, like Seven, these kinds of films that are darker explorations. And I think Knights of the Old Republic, if they ever do a TV series like we see with Mindhunter, if they ever do a TV series on Netflix or any kind of network, I think that's where Fincher would thrive in really exploring the expanded storylines and the darkness and the betrayals and the real harder edge of storylines that occur in Knights of the Old Republic. He's perfect for that. For these trilogy films, I don't think he is. Maybe he'll do an anthology film if they can ever hire Fincher and keep out of his way and not try to control it or fire him because he didn't make it too jokey or funny or humorous enough. Then maybe he could do an anthology film. But for me, I hold out hope that someday they do a Knights of the Old Republic version of Star Wars, and they hire people like Fincher, directors who like to explore the darker edges, the grittier edges of Star Wars, and really not have these porgs or Ewoks or cute little creatures, like actual real stuff that happened back then, where life and death was on the line constantly. So
you haven't seen a porg not kill a man yet. You don't know what a porg will do. Those fangs could come out. That porg could kill you.
You say porgs have fangs? Dude, I saw the trailer. I didn't see any fangs.
They have like little. I feel like they gum things to death or something.
Puffins are not known for killing things.
Puffins are great. You ever had that cereal? Sorry to get off track, but if you haven't tried puffins, you should have puffins.
Cereal.
It's wonderful. Get the peanut butter flavor.
Peanut butter and cinnamon raisin are the two
We could
best.
do a good hour of cereal talk.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
I definitely could.
So this is only going to be a show about peanut butter puffins and Natalie Portman. I hope this is what you tuned in for, because this is what you're getting. Just kidding. Right now, it's buy or sell. Sinead, what is our first buy or sell topic for the day?
THR was reporting that Scott Haze, who appears this month with Miles Teller in the war drama Thank You for Your Service, has joined Sony's Spider-Man spinoff Venom in an unknown role. Tom Hardy is starring as the Marvel antihero with Riz Ahmed, Michelle Williams, and Jenny Slate also on board the Ruben Fleischer-directed project. The movie is set to hit theaters on October 5th next year. Oh, my bad. Rocha. I just looked at you. I was like, Perri. Rocha, buy or sell Scott Haze in Venom?
This is interesting. I do think he is playing Carnage. He's an accomplished actor, writer, and director. Perusing his IMDb, doing a little bit of research for him. We saw only The Brave. I remember him, but he didn't really stand out for me. You know, there was 19 other actors there, and when you have people like James Badge-Dale, Josh Brolin, Taylor Kitsch, Miles Teller. Sorry, some of the names are, when you have all this, Jennifer Connelly, you have all these Jeff Bridges, it's hard to stand out. So I don't fault Scott Haze for that. But Scott Haze has done a number of work, and he's been slowly building his resume. If you look at the two of the upcoming films he's got coming up, he's playing Charlie Chaplin and Charles Manson. That speaks to a lot of range in an actor. So to me, I like this decision. I buy it. I absolutely think he's playing Carnage. I don't think Riz Ahmed is playing Carnage, and the studio has said he's not playing Carnage. And I think Jenny Slate has something to do with the storyline with Scott Haze. So to me, this works out perfectly when you balance it out with what you got with Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams. I think this is great casting, and the guy brings a lot of. When you watch him in the films, the thing about Scott is he doesn't bring the kind of like overt crazy stuff that I do. The man's a very composed, relaxed actor, and you can totally see him subtly going into the evil place as Carnage. So I look forward to see what he can do with this.
I love when I can see you like running up to the gravitas line and then stepping back. You wanted to say it.
He's not old enough yet to have the gravitas.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
go ahead, yeah.
That's how we figure out who gets the word
really
or not.
is.
I love this news. If you have not seen Child of God, I don't want to recommend it because it's a really unpleasant, tough watch. But wow, Scott Haze in that movie, so deeply disturbing. And talk about being able to play a character like Carnage. Again, that is not necessarily the role he is in talks for. They said that Carnage is the villain in the piece, this Source article, but it is what you said, that Ahmed is not in that role,
Right.
but he is the villain. So it would make a lot of sense to me if Haze wound up in that role, because he's scary. He's scary in that. And scary not in like a gratuitous, crazy way. That's the movie that James Franco directed, Child of God, and it builds character in a way that justifies how truly terrifying that character is. And Scott Haze he completely loses himself, and he like haunted my mind for a little while after. And then I even got to sit down with him for an interview after that, and he is such a warm, chill, passionate guy. Anything that he touches, I just imagine that he's going to give it 100%. And yeah, even though he didn't make that big of an impression in Only the Brave, I will never, ever forget his performance in Child of God. And I immediately caught him in that lineup because I knew who he was and I was watching out for him. And he even though I knew who he was, he didn't have that big of a role. He didn't make that big of an impression. But everything I saw from him in that, it was right where it needed to be. I really don't think this cast could be shaping out any better. Yeah, I'm nervous for what Sony is working on right now in the Spider-Man realm, but when you're talking about putting a project together and packaging like this, damn, they're on the right track right now. Ken, how you feeling about Scott Haze potentially joining the cast of Venom?
I'm going to buy it because John's research sounds great. Yeah, this cast is shaping up. Do you think when Scott Haze books a role, like with all respect to due respect to Grace Helbig, he just goes, "You've been hazed," and like just walks out of the meeting room?
Absolutely.
Okay, it's just me. I think it's Adam liked it. This cast is shaping up real nice for a superhero picture, right? I mean, this is the state we are now. Remember the mid-'90s when like The Phantom came out, John?
Oh, yeah.
Remember
God.
the '90s?
Hey, I remember The Phantom.
Your bangs were like down to here back then.
I didn't have bangs.
Yeah.
Her jeans were not ripped yet.
Actually, might have. That's probably true.
I mean, Hardy, Riz Ahmed, Michelle Williams, Jenny Slate, who I think is an underrated performer on her way up, and now Haze. I mean, this is. I love that this is the time we are in with these superhero movies, right? I mean, this is what we've worked so hard as nerds to get to, that we can have these big, giant, wonderful casts with these movies. So I'll buy it.
Venom comes out October 5th of next year. So, I mean, really, the countdown is on. We're less than a year away now, and I can't wait to see how this shapes out and how it paves the way for Sony going forward, because this is going to make the difference for them. So I'm rooting for them at this point. Now we're going to move on to our next buy or sell story. What is it, Sinead?
Warner Brothers Pictures has released the first trailer for 12 Strong, the declassified true story of the Horse Soldiers, starring Chris Hemsworth and Michael Shannon. The war drama, based on Doug Stanton's best-selling book, Horse Soldiers, tells the story of the events that unfolded a day after 9/11, in which a U.S. Special Forces team is chosen to be the first U.S. troop sent into Afghanistan for an extremely dangerous mission. The movie is set for release on January 19th, 2018. Perri, do you buy or sell the first trailer for 12 Strong?
I buy it. I buy it big time. This thing was not on my radar at all. I mean, normally when someone like Chris Hemsworth is cast in a movie, anybody that works in our field is honing in on that project and they're covering it. I hadn't really heard all that much about this. And then when the trailer teaser came out yesterday, I just started Googling the book and reading some reviews and just to see if I wanted to maybe read that. And it's interesting that people had a really strong response to that book, and certain things that were cited in those reviews I saw in this trailer. First of all, the trailer looks incredible. There's one shot, I believe, of 3 characters with the explosion in the background, and that is striking. It's striking in the best way possible. It looks real and it feels grounded. And when we have a whole lot of, maybe it's just because Geostorm is on my mind right now, and you can't really compare a fake disaster movie to a movie like this, but when you see so many things that are super CG and flashy and Hollywood, when you see a story like this, you want to see it taken with a degree of seriousness, and that's what I felt while I was watching this. And they hit certain story beats in this trailer that really moved me. It's like at the beginning you have the issue of them needing to leave their family. You get into it with them there, and the idea of them having to ride horses even though they don't, like that's a pretty big deal. And them being the first ones in there, them kind of setting the precedent and having that on them in a historical perspective too. It's like anything they did there was going to set the tone and be remembered. And then wherever it goes from there, I didn't want to get too far into and spoil the whole thing for myself. But it's nice to get a first trailer that feels like it has weight, feels like it tells a full story, but it also gives you a sense of certain themes and tones. So I really like what I saw of this so far. So even though I know people might be rolling their eyes at that January release date, I'm not looking past this right now. Ken, did you like it?
Yeah, I absolutely did. I'm going to buy it here. War movies it's a tradition. It's kind of an interesting, John, again, I keep making jokes that we're old, but, we grew up watching those war movies about World War II, and it seemed like this big, giant fiction. But that's kind of how I learned a lot of history. So I really do like war movies, but understand it's not just this fun genre, and war movies got more realistic especially when we hit the 70s. And this one has that vibe to me where it's like, I mean, we all remember those times. We all remember those days. I had friends overseas serving. I had all that kind of. So I see this and I'm like, wow, we are at this point where war movies has moved into our generation, and I'm curious how they start looking back and giving realistic takes on it. Like you just said, you're absolutely right compared to some of the fluff out there. And Bruckheimer's producing it, which is interesting. He loves those real explosions, right? So I'm all in on this, and trust it will be a responsible moving picture too.
Rocha, you in?
Yeah, I buy the trailer, right? And we see this, we see this happening more and more in this country, and I think we have to start recognizing that this is the change that's happening. There's more and more military stuff coming out there. Look at all the shows that are coming out. The Brave, right? The Navy SEAL show. There's all kinds of shows that are now on the fall docket that have already premiered on numerous networks. Lone Survivor. We get these war films that are coming out more and more, and this is appealing. Like Hollywood has to appeal not just to the liberal side of things, but also to the red states. This feels very much like a red state type of movie, and by that I mean it's very much about the military, it's very much about family, very much about being heroic, and all these kinds of things. So what do? You cast Thor. That's smart. It's brilliant, right? You bring in Michael Pena, great actor. Throw him into the mix there. You have a number, Elsa Pataki coming off of Fast and Furious. Great stuff. My only reservation is this director. He's a Danish guy who did a documentary and one feature, and he won for commercials, but I trust Bruckheimer. Bruckheimer did Black Hawk Down, did a number of films. He knows how to find the right directors. This guy's got a magic touch. He rarely misses. And so, to me, this all combined makes me excited for it. Peter Craig, who wrote The Town, is on this, and the last 2 Hunger Games. Ted Talley, who's an author who wrote Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal. Ted Talley is involved in this. So there's a very strong team behind this particular production, but the trailer itself got me excited, got me into seeing it. Having served in the military, when I see these things done well, it gets me excited to go walk into the theater and see it. I can't wait for Thank You for Your Service. I want to see that. And the other one that's coming out from Richard Linklater, I enjoy
Last Flag Flying.
Last Flag Flying. I enjoy these war movies. I like that they're coming back into the mix. Like Ken said, we grew up on those for a certain time because those things made us feel proud about America again, made us feel proud about the people who serve and defend our country in these situations. Throw all politics aside. The fact that young men and women are able to put themselves in those positions to fight for our principles and our beliefs, it means something. And this film definitely showcases that. I just wish they didn't do that at the end of the trailer. The long name of the movie, right? The 12, the extraordinary, the declassified files of the blah, blah, blah. Just call it 12 horse soldiers and let's move on. The declassified stuff throws me off so bad.
Just call it a Star Wars story.
Yeah, that's fine. That's even shorter. I'm cool with that.
No, but you bring up a good point. I was thinking a lot about this after we saw Only the Brave, where, you know, I know sometimes, especially when something is very recent, you know, you need to be sensitive and you need to watch out for when you tell these stories and how, but it does feel really important, especially when we're talking about a job where people put their lives on the line, and not necessarily it being thankless, but where they don't really get the credit and the recognition. And there's folks out there who don't really understand the ins and outs of that job and how they're risking their lives to do something for us. Yeah. So seeing something like Only the Brave, I'm very much looking forward to. Thank you for your service. And I'm looking forward to the approach to telling this story as well. So I'm just glad that movies are being made like this, and I hope they are being made respectfully and they tell the story honestly and thoroughly. Hopefully that is the case with 12 soldiers, because I'm not using the full title, because you're right. It's not going to work. We have one more buy or sell story for the day. Sinead, what's that one?
Ahead of Guillermo del Toro's latest movie, The Shape of Water, the studio has dropped a brand new poster teasing a different kind of movie we'll be seeing come December. The film stars Sally Hawkins as a mute woman named Elisa, who lives a lonely, isolated life performing janitorial duties at a top-secret government laboratory, where she discovers a top-secret experiment. The facility's one-of-a-kind inhabitant who changes her life. The Shape of Water opens on December 8th, later this year. Rocha, do you buy or sell the new poster for The Shape of Water?
I really do. It's such a beautiful poster. I mean, look at that thing. And I love that she's in the red dress. I love that her shoe is coming off, you know, kind of a play on that, lifting the leg when someone kisses you, old trope there. And I love that you see his gills and his fins and all those kinds of things. And they're in his environment, in the water. She is in a way coming to him because he is the captured one. He is the one we see in the trailers that is in that containment unit, right? She's expressing her love. The fact she's in red, like conveying heart color, you know, all of this, and the green hue, of course. There's something about it all. If you could do the reverse of Creature of the Black Lagoon, this is what it would look like, and I am excited to see this. So the poster immediately gets me into the vibe of the movie, warms my heart, and I know I'm going to see a very unusual love story told by one of the master filmmakers and auteurs of our time, and all the buzz has been amazing for this. So the poster just makes me even more excited to see the film.
I'm right there with you, though I couldn't be more excited to see The Shape of Water. This is beautiful. Yeah. And it adds an extra special layer to it that Guillermo del Toro went on Reddit to share it, because I forgot who I was talking to recently. It was someone who worked on a big studio film, and they were talking a little bit about the marketing campaign and how little influence they have over how the movie is sold, which still you see, what poster you see, what's included in a trailer. And so the fact that this feels like a Guillermo visual to me. Obviously, it's not a straight still from the film. There's, or for all we know, maybe it will be. But there's something about this design that feels like it's very much in tune with what we're going to get in the movie. It feels like a picture that Guillermo himself would have painted. And the fact that he is behind it makes me really happy about how they're approaching the marketing to this movie, because it seems like it's also one that deserves it. This thing just crushed it on the festival circuit. And the fact that right now, in my Oscar predictions, I have a Guillermo del Toro movie as one of the top contenders. That is just blowing my mind right now. He is such a passionate, loving guy. So I just really couldn't be more happy for him. And I am dying to see this thing. I cannot wait until I get that screening invite. This is easily one of my most anticipated movies of the rest of the year. It's just so nice to see. You know, actually this year a lot. I've seen a couple of love stories where it's so pure and it feels so real. I'm allowed to talk about this. I saw Call Me By Your Name last night, and that movie kind of bowled me over. And, you know, the same thing with Professor Marston and the Wonder Women too, where it's nice to just like strip everything back and just have something that's celebrating like pure love. And that's kind of the feeling I get from this too. And if anyone can capture that really well and in a unique, colorful way, I think it's going to be a Guillermo del Toro film. Ken, what do you think about this poster?
Oh, absolutely buy it. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. I know not every movie poster can be like this, but you remember that guy who used to work here? He said awesome-tacular a lot. He hated this poster, and I understood why, because it's the Blade Runner poster here, and it's just so paint by numbers. That's so Photoshop clip art. And I even think some of the Star Wars stuff has fallen short. Some of it's spectacular, especially when they pull Drew Struzan back out of retirement. But some of this is a work of art in a way, just of itself. I think movie posters should reach for this kind of level for this type of movie, especially when you put the little award symbols on there, so you automatically go, "This is a good deep movie." So it needs something like this. I buy it wholeheartedly.
Yeah, even if you're not an awards contender, if you just put little laurels and you leave it empty in the middle, people are going to start voting for you. It just works like that. It's not true at all.
Yep.
All right,
John, you should put those on your Tinder profile.
I really should. I should say
that's such a good idea.
I'm the merman. I'm that
Just
guy.
an award winner.
Yeah. award winner.
Yeah, you
Oh,
should
just to put that. Yeah.
You
award
need to just
winner.
put your name
Yeah.
in the middle of the laurel.
Yeah, Schmodown award winner. Yeah.
It'll
let's
be
put
great. All right, that is it for Buy or Sell today. Right now, I want to remind you that at the end of the show, we are going to take your live Twitter questions. So start sending them in right now. Sinead's going to pick some good ones, and then we're going to answer them right here on the show. First, though, we have some plugs for you. As always, you have an episode of Heroes and a live episode of TV Talk coming your way later today. We have so many reviews up on the channel right now. We have our Thor Ragnarok non-spoiler review. You will get a spoiler review closer to the movie's release. We also have a review of Only the Brave and the Snowman. And on top of that, this guy right here is going to go see Geostorm later. So you can look forward to that one as well. We also have a great interview with Josh Brolin on Collider.com. He talks about so many things. If you want to hear about Deadpool, X-Force, the Sicario sequel, of course, Infinity War, go check that out on Collider.com right now. There is also a new Schmodown today. Per usual, this one, it's a big match because this guy's in it.
Jason Inman, you're going down today once and for all. You got lucky in the five-way. Congratulations. But now it's time to dance with a real competitor. That's number one contender, the outlaw John Rocha. You're going down, son. Team Trek, number one. You're going to be number two by the time it's over. Let me just tell you.
Oh, that was short and sweet. I
Thank
thought
you.
it was going to go on for longer
No,
than that.
no, we don't have time.
Also, speaking of Schmodown, there is a Schmodown LA Comic-Con panel on Sunday, the 29th at 2 p.m. It's in room 403. Hopefully you wrote that all down. If you haven't, everybody who is participating is going to be sharing information, so hopefully you can come out to that. And then lastly, as always, it's Friday, so we have a new awesome-tacular episode for you. Hit the description section of this Movie Talk episode where you can find the link. Give it a watch. All those episodes are a ton of fun. But right now, it's time for Mailbag. Sinead, what's our question today?
Colt writes, "Hey Collider, if you could cast the panel for roles in any movie in 2017, which roles would you cast each other in? Thanks for taking my question."
Can I put you guys on the spot first? Who has an idea? Did anybody else prepare for this?
No, I just now saw the question.
Great.
I thought, if anything,
Oh, no.
I thought my first thought, and it's literally solely based on
Now I'm getting really nervous.
my first thought was that Ken could play Wolverine because his hair looks the most
Logan.
like
Yeah.
Logan.
Well, and I'm broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
very much so.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, his hair looks like Wolverine's hair.
Yeah.
But I was like, but
And my beard.
he's way too happy to play Logan.
Oh, no, that's not true, Sinead. Come on. That's not true.
All right, all
You
right,
know,
all right.
I would be Logan, but, after the part where he dies. Like, that's where I would.
All right. Well, I gave you a little more credit than that, Ken. And I said, you are the Merlin of Kingsman. Because it's just like, if I had someone in my home base and I was a Kingsman out fighting whatever, like I'd want you to be the one to tell me what to do. And
Okay.
like you're poised. And
Yeah. I'm
that's
poised
what
under fire.
Mark Strong is. So
Mark
I
Strong's
he's in
character. Oh,
that-
yeah,
he's in that
yeah.
role.
Oh, yeah,
So-
yeah, yeah.
So Ken, you are going to be my Merlin.
Okay. I'm good with that. I'm
Yeah?
good with that.
All right, here's my three. I cast Perri
Oh,
in
no.
It, absolutely, as the girl, because
Yeah.
Perry's still that height and looks that young.
Oh my God.
To save the movie, I would cast Sinead DeVries in Ghost in the Shell and replace Scarlett Johansson. I think she'd be
Okay.
great.
I got you
in
guys,
it.
don't worry.
Right, plus she's a she's a woman of color, so they could stop complaining about that. She'd be fantastic in that. And Ken, I would have to cast as old Luke Skywalker in Last
That's
Jedi.
a good one.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that's
If
good.
anybody who, when he was young, had dreams and hopes, and then in the end ends up a bitter guy on a mountain, it is definitely Ken Napzok.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd be perfect because Ken loves the self-deprecating stuff that he does.
Yeah.
We all love Ken. It's all bullcrap to us because we know Ken's an amazing
sure.
guy. But Ken might put himself on that mountain. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
would absolutely think that's possible.
That's a good choice. Good
I,
choice.
I dig that choice. So, Rocha, for you,
Oh, and Cody and Adam are Tag and Bink. Absolutely. Tag and Bink in the new one coming out. Yes.
I limited your options to anyone who wore a cowboy hat this
Oh,
year,
great.
and the
Awesome.
only one I
Yeah.
could think of was Danny McBride in Alien Covenant. So that's why I'm putting you in
Yes.
that role. But
I would have that
I
terrible
mean,
accent he did. Yes,
You'd be
Yeah.
okay flying a ship, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I kind of trust you.
Yeah, as
not
long as I'm
really,
not in
maybe a
charge of the
little.
ship, I'm better flying.
Yeah. And Sinead. So Sinead, I'm gonna cast as Darling in Baby Driver
Oh,
because she's sassy, she's fun, and she can take care of business.
Freaking love that movie.
Yeah, I could see you rocking that role.
Thanks, girl.
Got you covered.
I don't know. I don't
don't
see
know.
myself as Darling and
Yeah, I
Baby
don't see you
Driver.
as the waitress.
I appreciate it a
I see
lot.
you as John Hamm's girlfriend. That's who you are in that movie.
Yeah, but I think I can't place.
She's a badass though.
That's
she's
what I'm saying.
like,
The girl's a badass
well,
in that
she's
movie.
a badass too, but Darling's like on another level.
Darling? Oh, is that the waitress?
No,
no,
that's
that is
Oh, John Hamm's
that
girlfriend.
is John Hamm's
Oh, then you
girlfriend.
would definitely play Darling.
Yeah,
You're absolutely
actually,
right.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was getting
Gonzalez,
confused.
Is that
Yeah.
her name? Yeah.
What's the waitress's name? Is it Karen?
Deborah.
Lily-
Deborah. I knew it was some.
Oh,
No,
right,
no,
right,
you're
right.
not a Deborah.
Okay,
No.
yeah, you're not.
No.
All right, I thought it was my fault.
Is
Ken?
it do I have to go? Did you go?
Oh,
already?
did you go? Go.
I mean, I said that he could play Logan.
Logan,
Right.
yeah.
I said he's too happy. He says he's way more depressed than I realized. So I think that could work actually.
Yeah.
I would legit put. Perri in it.
That's
not
like my
because not because you look that young
Oh, ouch.
and you're that short.
I'll take it. I shouldn't look like a 12-year-old at my age.
No, but you're very matter of fact.
Ah, yes.
Right? And
Good
that little
points.
girl, when I saw it, I was like, there was something about that girl's acting that I was like, damn, this girl is light years ahead of her age because she's
Well.
mastered this matter of fact type of. It might just be her personality, which is why the movie is so good because it's just like that is who she is. But you are very matter of fact. Like you don't beat around the bush. You are straight to the point, and what you say makes sense most of the time,
Most
which
of
is
the time,
something I
yeah.
aspire to do because I'm not very eloquent when I speak. So yes, I would cast you as that. I will keep Ken as Wolverine just because now when I look at you, that's all I see. So there's no going
That's
back.
fair.
And then Rocha, this is a tough one.
You're all missing the obvious one, but all right.
For you?
Yeah.
What did you cast yourself as?
Okay.
Please, and you go ahead.
Oh no.
Man, this is honestly really tough.
Okay.
But I do feel like I could see you. Hold on a second. I need to look at it one more time.
This is killing me.
Yeah, I do think I could kind of see you as Kevin Spacey's role in Baby Driver.
I'll accept that. I will absolutely accept that. My nephew would absolutely be that smart, so I absolutely accept that shit. And
I
I
love
would
that nephew.
stupidly throw away my company for some guy some kid I kind of liked.
But
I
kind of
would
like
absolutely do that
hot-headed,
dumb.
not
Yeah.
like in a bad way, but
Right.
kind of like hot-headed and kind of
Yeah.
just like, ugh, you
Yeah.
know, that
And if
is
you-
kind of who Rocha is.
And if you come from my business, we gonna get it on in the parking garage. So absolutely, I got no problem with that. You're all missing The Rock in Baywatch. That's absolutely who I would play. That character in Baywatch. It's
Oh
a terrible
my
movie,
God.
but I would absolutely
oh
play.
my God, I
that
don't think
part.
anyone was going to
Did
say
you
that.
ever share
I didn't say it would
your,
look that good
Did
as
you
him,
ever share
but-
your slow run video? Does that
It's
exist
terrible.
somewhere?
Yeah, it does. I
Okay, so
shared it.
go watch that
No
and
shame.
then tell him whether or
Wait,
not
I
he's
wanna
The Rock.
see it.
Oh, it's terrible.
That
Wait,
exists
do you
on
have
the
it?
internet.
Yeah, I
Can-
do.
can you show
It's
me after this?
Yeah, after this I'll show you.
Oh,
but
I'm so
only his
excited.
personality. I don't mean his physical shape. I mean his personality because I
don't
would
think
absolutely
so.
mess with
No.
those little kids. Zac Efron. I hate those young kids. Anyway, yeah.
I
there
don't
we go.
know. Kind of when you look at it and the vibe in the office, you are The Rock.
I know. I slap people around all the time. No,
Yeah,
I'm
That's
just-
true.
exactly.
That's true.
Ken, you're the only one. You're the only one left.
I'm
What you
gonna.
got?
All right. So in Wonder Woman, I'm gonna put Sinead in Wonder Woman, not as
Yes.
Wonder Woman, but as the German doctor who created the gas. Because I'm pretty sure you've killed a man. I'm pretty sure you've killed a man, and I'm gonna put you in that. Perri,
Yes.
I've got you in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Ooh, another high school
as,
kid.
as Tony Stark, just because you're kind of. You mentor role to a
That's
lot of us.
awesome.
You know this industry inside and out. You go to Perri to get you tools.
How are you Dr. Poison and I'm Tony Stark?
I like that.
Warped reality.
John Rocha,
Yes.
you are the storm in Geostorm.
Yes.
All right? You just spin them.
Absolutely.
And I am...
F the Earth.
I am, I am still going to be Logan, Luke Skywalker, old gray men with beards.
Love
That's
it.
right.
Well, that was way too much fun.
That was fun. Good
So yeah,
question.
if you have really unique, fun mailbag questions, please send them on to collidervideo@gmail.com. We're always looking for fun new spins on our mailbag segment, whether it's on Movie Talk or on one of our weekend mailbag shows. So get to that. We check that address all the time. And hopefully we'll pick your question and discuss it on one of our shows. Right now, we have time for some live Twitter questions. Sinead, what you got for us?
Well, the most important question in the entire world just came. At Tristan_Glover says, Perri, have you ever been completely bothered, by someone's bangs in a movie?
Oh my God, yes.
Here
You
it
know
is.
what my least favorite big screen bangs of all time is?
Big Tree Bangs. Hashtag.
I mean,
That sounds like a whole other type of movie.
yeah.
Big Screen Bangs. Oh, I just found my new YouTube show.
Oh,
Big
shit.
Screen Bangs. Let's do it.
Wait, I need to take a breath now. I hope I can get through this.
You know what my least favorite big screen bangs are of all time?
I thought a lot about this. It's Courtney Cox's itty bitty baby bangs in Scream 3.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that's good.
That's
call.
good.
Hands down, the
call.
worst cut I've ever seen in my life. Normally, I get really pissed when I see people with like super short mini bangs because I don't really understand that at all. Oh my God. Does anybody else feel like answering that question?
That's such a good answer because as soon as you say that, I'm like, yes.
No, it's really the worst.
I didn't like Jessica Biel's bangs in the center, but that's just me.
Oh, I thought she had nice bangs. They
Nah.
were like super
They were
straight.
super
and
straight.
They took
and
away
it
her.
didn't matter what she went through. Her bangs always still
But
looked
sometimes
straight.
when bangs are like overly perfect, they look fake to me. Like
Well, it's-
they're clip-ons.
you
or
can't
something.
you can't have like that straight cut across because then also it looks like kid bangs.
Right.
You gotta have
And you
a
can't have
little
like
chop
these
to it.
ones, even if you're playing like that kind of character. You can never have these bangs.
Do you
Never,
feel
okay.
strongly about bangs, Ken?
Yeah, well, I have my least favorite big screen bangs are anyone that Michael Douglas is in.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. No, I don't
Silence.
have strong opinions on bangs.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Other than I like yours, Perri.
Oh, that was the right answer.
Yeah, when
Thank
the
you,
when the
Ken.
bangs come down.
Yeah,
when
just
you
like
unfurl
that.
the bangs.
Yeah.
I love
They're
that.
a little exhausted.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
love that. All right, ready?
Do we have another one?
Yeah, that Subatomic Freak says, what director do you wish was more active? My pick is Peter Jackson.
The one that comes to mind actually came up in a conversation the other day. Jeremy Saulnier. I know he had Green Room that came out last year. It's just, I don't know. I thought he'd, like with Blue Ruin and Green Room, I thought he'd be a little busier in delivering more movies, or maybe that's just me wanting something else from him so badly. But I'm eager to see what he has brewing next.
It's a good question. We brought up Fincher. Fincher takes a lot of time in between films. What isn't Gone Girl the last thing he did in terms of film? And that was like
Is it?
3 years ago, wasn't it?
I'll look.
Yeah. Get me right on this because I feel like he doesn't a lot. I would have normally said Terrence Malick, but he's on some stream of consciousness thing where he's just dropping films all the time. Look, and I enjoy his films. I really have enjoyed all these nutty, crazy stream of consciousness films because I go in not expecting anything of narrative or any kind of normal constructs of a film. I'm just going along inside a man's brain for 2.5 hours. So I would have liked to see him go. I would like to see him go back to like Badlands and those kinds of films. But right now, I would have said he doesn't work enough. But now he's working, I think, a little bit too much. There's all these-
David Fincher, well, he's the executive producer of House of Cards.
Right, I know that.
And then
but
it
director
says-
is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's directing a few episodes of the show Mindhunter.
Mindhunter, yes.
Yeah.
And World War Z 2 has been announced.
Ah,
Oh, yeah,
right,
he is
okay.
attached to that.
Right, but Gone Girl was the last
But
thing.
it was, as far as a movie,
Feature
that is
film.
the last thing,
Yeah.
yes, that he has directed. But he's producing a bunch of stuff.
Right, but I mean active. I want an active director, and I like his direction a
Yeah.
lot. He's one of my favorites.
Anyone come to mind, Ken?
Barbara Streisand,
There
Prince
it
of
is.
Tides was great.
Well, that's a nice, diverse group we just gave you. Sinead, do we have another question?
Sure. Let's see here. Ooh, okay. At Phil_Fang_Foom, Phil Fang Foom, says, I love him. Now that a decent amount of time has passed, think we're getting those Power Ranger sequels.
Oh, why did we have to bring this up?
No.
I know it annoys people that I bring up Power Rangers often. Every single day that passes, and at this point, many days have passed, so I've lost a lot of hope that we're going to get another movie. You know,
You really don't think so?
Like,
why do we talk about the Power Rangers so much? Like, I feel like it's so obvious that we're gonna get it.
You really think so?
I like your
really do.
mentality.
Wow.
There's no denying, no matter how big of a fan I am, that it did not do well at the box office at all.
Yeah.
But then you do have to consider home DVD sales, and you have to
Yeah.
consider toy sales, and the fact that Lionsgate did have that. I don't even think it was an official announcement. I think it was one of those shareholders type meetings where they had said that it was a plan to make 6 or 7 movies.
Yeah.
The fact that they said that before makes me think that they won't not give us a sequel unless
Right.
it's officially announced that we're not getting a sequel. So still, this might just be me trying to be the slightest bit hopeful now, but I'm waiting for that official word from the studio that says, no, we're not getting another one.
I 100% think we're going to.
I don't think.
I really, really do. I don't think that they. I feel like if they were to say
in the theaters.
yes, I feel like if they were to say before the movies that this is their plan, that it wasn't going to be based off of how well the movie was going to do. That was their plan. I don't think that now that the movie didn't do as well as what people had hoped, that's going to change their original plan. I don't think people just say that.
Well, I hear your point, but I think that I think that applies more to like The Mummy, The Dark Universe, because they ended up making their money back internationally, so they can validate a sequel. But something like Power Rangers failed
But I
all
don't.
around.
I don't think they
and
needed the
think they would.
validation. I don't think they were ever looking
Well,
for that.
that was my mentality going into it at the beginning. Was the first Power Rangers was such an investment for them financially, and
Right.
also just with the name Power Rangers,
Right.
that why would you commit to that without committing to also a second film at the very least? But that it really didn't make a lot of money,
know.
so I can't really look past that. Ken,
I mean,
you can
look,
give me any hope?
No. I'm looking at Sinead. I know you fell into a fire at Josh McCook's wedding and emerged holding 3 dragons.
You guys should see my scars. It's really great.
Maybe you have some confidence and some knowledge that we don't know about this issue. But I want to follow you into battle. I think you're onto something when you're like, no, they had a plan, and regardless of what happened, the studio's like, nah, we have a plan. I just also think at some point, as we've learned with some movies or with Lucasfilm and directors, your plans can get tossed out the window.
Right.
So I don't know.
I think
one more thought really quick. I think that the reason why they're so silent on this is because, yes, they were a little bit, maybe not shell-shocked, but they're a little bit surprised that it didn't do as well, because I freaking love Power Rangers. Like, honestly, I thought it was...
The movie?
Yes.
Don't start.
Wow.
Rocha.
Don't be a
It is
geostorm.
Friday. I am in a good mood.
You like
No.
Becky G? You liked Becky G in the movie?
I
Sinead
mean,
DeVries?
I liked the movie enough to not have to criticize any of the acting.
Okay.
I had a great time at the
Fair
theater,
enough.
and I left the theater knowing that everyone around me had a great time too.
Oh, I'm not saying I enjoyed myself in
It
the
was
theater.
super entertaining.
But I don't think they spend $65 million on a movie and think they don't care about the results.
Yeah, I know. Okay,
That's my point.
Let me finish my thought really
Okay,
quick.
sure,
So
sure.
I think that the reason why they're not saying anything just yet is because they are surprised at the success of the movie, right? I don't think they expected it, not the success, the anti-success of the movie.
The failure.
Yeah, I don't want to call it like I don't want to call it the
Is
failure.
just anti-success.
don't-
I think you're onto something,
That's
Sinead.
positivity. I don't want to call it
I've
failure.
got a president you can work for right now.
I don't want to call it failure, but you know what I'm saying. So I feel like that's why, because they have to really think about this right now. Like, they have to think about a plan here moving forward. But I do 100% think, regardless, it's going to happen.
You know what I think really could happen? Because look at a movie like The
I'm
Mortal
impressed by that.
Instruments, which crashed and burned, and then they turned it into a TV series, and I thought that was the dumbest idea at the time. That TV series is in, its 2nd or 3rd season, so I wouldn't be all that surprised if they wound up not going forward with the second movie, but starting to develop a TV series instead, and maybe making it darker than the original, like keeping it in line with the tone of the movie we just saw.
Yeah.
All right, how about one more Twitter question,
Yeah.
and then we'll close it out.
All right. Adarsh says, what are the odds that Pacific Rim Uprising is better than Transformers? Love you guys.
I'm pretty sure all the odds are in its favor. Yeah, you're.
No, I wouldn't
you're
say
human.
all the odds are in
You're
its
human.
favor.
Why are you
that
celebrating?
First film was
Did you
so
think Barry was gonna agree with you?
bad. No, I was mad at the question. Though the first film was not good, other than Idris Elba's speech It really wasn't. And so I hold out hope, though, because I've enjoyed the trailers and all the promo material for it, that it might be better than the original Pacific Rim. It'll have to go a long way to be better than Transformers. Let me just tell you that right now.
So if we're talking about...
There's about 6 of those, and there's a reason, because people love them and come to see them.
And because they started years in advance, Pacific Rim is still a fairly fresh franchise. So if we're saying...
Is it rated fresh?
What are the odds that Pacific Rim 2 is a great movie? That's where I'm like, it could be, but it also might not be. If we're talking about how is Pacific Rim 2 going to compare to the Transformers films... Like, why is that even a question? Yeah. It's going to be above and beyond those, because in terms of
what? In terms of what?
In terms of a movie.
Okay,
in terms of quality, that's subjective.
No, definitely.
In terms of box office dollars, it ain't gonna.
I'm not talking about box office.
Right,
I'm talking about
you're
quality.
shifting the argument.
I will get. Was it not about quality?
No.
Was it better?
It just says is better than
is better. Better.
Okay.
That means quality, not is better at the box office or bigger moneymaker. Okay. So I will give you the fact that Pacific Rim doesn't have the greatest characters, particularly the lead characters.
Yes.
I was more drawn to the supporting characters around them. But the reason it worked really well is because what Pacific Rim does so well is world building, create this incredible mythology between Jaegers and kaiju, and then build this crazy world around them where there's so many rules and different things to explore and mysteries to solve in order to take them down.
Yeah, there's none of that in Transformers. You're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's no Decepticons. There's no Autobots. There's no planet.
And
there's no Allspark. There's
muddled,
no trying to figure out with
and
humans.
it makes no sense, and you don't care.
Like Pacific Rim. Yeah,
Pacific Rim makes a lot of sense.
All
Charlie Day explains it all.
All I'll say to you, John, is you're right. There's a lot of Transformers, and a lot of people love them. There's a lot of fast food joints because people love them, and they're slowly killing the world, one hamburger at a time. So I don't know about that, but I didn't. But I'm also with you too. First Pacific Rim was a parody.
Thank you.
All right.
That's right.
Well, whatever. We're done. That's it. I gotta go home. No, I don't. I have to work all day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Before we close out the show, I have to thank our guys back there. We have Adam and Cody, who just rock it every single day in this studio. Thank you guys for your hard work. And also, I need to thank everybody on the panel right now. Let's start with Ken. Where can everyone find you on the internet?
Hey, you can find me at Ken Napzok across all social media platforms and at the Loco del Taco at the drive-thru again.
And Mr. Gravitas.
Hey, everybody. You guys can find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And please download our new episode today of The Cinephiles, Cine-Files on iTunes. Joe Mantegna stopped by to talk Adventures of Robin Hood, the Errol Flynn film. That was such an incredible joy for us to talk about with him.
Dr. Poison, where can everyone find you on the internet?
I'll be on TV Talk in just a few minutes, too, so make sure you tune into that. And then online, you can find me at Sinead DeVries and at thatsosinead.com.
And you guys can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Perri Nemiroff. Again, thank you for watching the show. Keep an eye out for so much more content coming your way today, and we will see you bright and early Monday morning for more movie talk.
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.